Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to solve a mystery. The mystery today, as the previous mystery that I did on my channel, is from Whodunit Mysteries. And yes, it is a murder. In fact, it's not just any murder. It is, if I can get to it, the Bowers murder. Yes, that's the one. The murder of Bowers. I have not read this. I have no idea what this contains. Not a clue. Don't know what the characters are, don't know the situation, don't know the answer. It's in here somewhere, but I'm not going to look. We're going to go over it together. Now, during this, I'm going to be stopping. I'm going to be starting. I'm going to be reviewing what you think. So, bear with me while I go on my tangents, because I have no idea what's about to happen. I'm going to think this one through. It isn't necessary. These are definitely written so that you don't have to sit and consider all of the possibilities. But I did this professionally. I was a professional criminal investigator. So we're going to talk about how this would actually be investigated in the real world. And we're going to try to solve some puzzles. So, let's begin. The Bowers murder was big news. Furman Bowers, an influential banker, had been executed in front of his open safe. It sounds like perhaps he had been forced to open that safe at gunpoint, knife point, weapon point. I don't know, but doesn't look good. Definitely a crime. The Chronicle, which I assume is the newspaper, had broken the initial murder. The Tribune had managed to get the first interview with the widow, and at the Sentinel, the editor was incandescent. What? I have no idea what that means. When was this written? Incandescent. 2018. What are you doing? Why are you using those weird descriptions? Maybe it will make sense. I don't know. Josh Cole stoically endured the abuse the man hurled at him and left his office with the editor's final words ringing in his ears. "Get me a scoop, boy, or I'll turn your twitching corpse into our own big lead story." That sounds like communicating a threat. Vaguely. It's probably not actually communicating a threat, but it's very, very close. Folks, if you work for a place that says that they will kill you if you don't get a good story for them, maybe don't work for that place. Just a thought, just something to consider. There's gotta be, that's like, contact HR. See what HR has to say about that. Josh closed the door, and the whole newsroom turned to look at him with expressions ranging from sympathetic to maliciously amused. Ignoring them all, he grabbed his coat and notebook and headed to the lifts. I assume that means elevators for us Americans. His first stop was at Glinton and Mathers, attorneys at law. Furman Bowers' family lawyer, Daryl Dalton, had worked there for 8 years. Now, of course, remember that Furman Bowers is our murder subject. You know what? Since we're talking about him, let's put him down as our subject. Let's do that. Kaylee, did you miss the murder? No, it's happening right now. I mean, the murder has happened, but we're still investigating it. So, Furman B. Heck yeah, Furman B. You. Place of honor. Right next to the mermaid. A small, fidgety man, Dalton took no pains to hide his disappointment when Josh turned out to be a reporter rather than a potential new client, but grudgingly answered a few questions just to get rid of him.
"Yes, Mr. Cole. My client was having some temporary difficulties. No, I will absolutely not share any details on or off record."
Ladies and gentlemen, never give information off record. It's never actually off record. Don't think that by going off record you're actually hiding anything. Just don't. People try to tell me information off record, and I have to be like, stop. That's not how that works. You've been reading too many murder mysteries. Anyway.
No, he had not received any threats, death or otherwise. No, he had no enemies, whatever that even means.
Surely he knows what having enemies means. But I digress.
Suggestions that he was involved in anything shady are pure fabrications. To the best of my knowledge, Mr. Furman hadn't even heard of Benny Lucas.
Who's Benny Lucas? We'll get there.
No, I most certainly have never met Mr. Lucas or any of his representatives. Mr. Furman was an upstanding member of the business community and had no truck with organized crime.
Ooh, this guy's giving a lot of information that may not have been asked. That's okay. That does happen when you're interviewing someone or interrogating them, and they're like, no, I didn't do this. And you're just like, how do you know about all of that? They get real quiet. Now, I know that is a common trope in, TV shows or, I guess, books, but that does actually happen. It's not super common, but it happens, and it's always a great time to call them out on it, because they get real quiet after that.
Now, if you'll please excuse me, I have work to do.
Are we going to put down Daryl Dalton? Not yet, but we'll consider him. We'll keep thinking about him. Aaron says, calling it now, a penguin did it. Those shifty birds are up to something. Always acting so cute and dressing above their station. How dare they? How dare those penguins? Yeah. Antarctica. What are they hiding down there, huh? Makes you wonder. Ruth Bowers, Furman's wife, was more forthcoming. She welcomed Josh in, poured him a coffee, and talked freely and movingly about her loss.
He was a sweet, gentle man,
she said.
I loved him very much, but he could be stubborn. I'm sure the assassins had to torture the safe combination out of him. That's probably why they killed him afterwards. Oh! I wish they'd seized me instead. I'd have just told them the combination, rather than force them into brutality and rage, and then we'd still be together. It's so senseless. Poor Furman said something about a Mr. Lucas the other night. Some bad sort, I felt, but I didn't pay close attention.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, assassin has a very specific sort of implication, which is an assassination is unlikely to be this. Now, hold on a second. So, if you're killing someone to get their money, that's not an assassination. That's a murder. Assassination is more, there's maybe a political reason for it, or maybe this guy did have ties to organized crime, and they want to look like a robbery, but it was actually an assassination, so they're like, get on your knees in front of the safe, pa-pa! And then the safe was open to hide exactly what was going on. I feel like we're starting to put these clues together. Yeah, we suspect the wife, huh? Yeah. 2 other people had been around the house that morning. One was the gardener, Charles Hedrick. Ooh, Charles, I'm already suspicious of you. Who worked there 3 times a week. A hard, knotted old man. He was actively hostile. Oh, very suspicious.
I'm sick of you newsies poking and prying, he declared. So what if it was one of the shotguns from the shed what did him? They're not mine, and it's not locked.
Why wouldn't you lock up your shotguns, is what I'd like to know. Suspicious.
I worked on the drainage in the South Lodge all damn day. I didn't even hear it. First I knew was the police bossing me around. I don't care if you're just doing your job, Mr. Whoever you are. You're spoiling my lunch.
You know what? I feel strongly enough about it. We're going to put him on the list. But as with the last little mystery I did, I don't trust it when the person seems too bad, right? Like they're too angry, they're too upset. It's too close, right? They're written in such a way that you're supposed to believe that it's them. I don't trust that. Of course, they want some red herrings in there. But let's see, Charles. Now we do have a murder weapon now. It appears to be a shotgun. You know how we do. It's good enough. Can't really see it. Don't really mind. It's fine. It's a shotgun. Sean Vest, thank you. Says, wasn't me. We'll see about... You know what, Sean? Not so sure about that. Sean. You're now a suspect, Sean. That's you. That's you right there. This guy. Don't think I'm not watching you now. Yeah. The other person who had visited the house was a delivery man named Richard Kitts, who had been there to drop off some logs. Yeah, I went there, filled up his wood box, gave the missus the invoice, and then I left again. I was only there 2 minutes, and you can go ask the folks on my round before and after what time I was with them. I ain't seen nothing. No, I never heard of no Benny Lucas. What? Sure you said his first name. How else would I know it? No, I don't have no record. Where'd you hear that? Rubbish. Complete lies. If you print that and I'll kick your shiny head and bust in, that's a promise. Then I'll have some lawyers sue whatever's left. Wearily, Josh headed back to the office. But before we talk about him heading back to the office, we have Richard Kitts as a suspect. Yeah. Yep. We got 3 suspects. The wife, we're keeping her in mind. Anyone who's brought up by name, I'm keeping in mind. There's Benny Lucas. People keep referencing Benny Lucas. I don't know who Benny Lucas is yet. There's the lawyer. The lawyer would know what was in that safe, presumably. There might be some important documentation the lawyer had to sign or review or help draft. What if he was involved and wanted to get that? Surely he could have just made a copy while drafting it. I don't know. Reading too much into it. We're not even at the end yet. Warily, Josh headed back to the office. The Bowers file stared at him balefully. As stories went, a widow's grief wasn't going to cut it. He flicked through the crime scene photos that his police contact had given to him, and every other journo? Journo? Journo. Journo? Does it mean journal? Is it a different word for journal? Where was this published? Why do I feel like this is British? Sarah Marie, help me. Oh, yeah, okay, this was published in London, so, words, right? And every other journo on the story, damn it. Furman's body had been removed before they'd been taken. So when the photos were taken, the body was not present, which is fair because, well, actually, only if it was suspected that he might survive. You're generally only going to remove a body if there are still signs of life, any activity. Otherwise, you'll leave him there, right? You'll have a medic, check on them if there's a pulse, if there's whatever, if half their head is missing, obviously you're not touching them because you're not going to revive them. But if it's something like a gunshot wound to the gut and they're still twitching a little bit, you're probably going to get them in an ambulance to a hospital. But why would they remove the body before the pictures? Because they're bad at their jobs, perhaps. It happens. It's fine. I'm looking too much into it. The safe was wide open and completely cleaned out, the bare metal gleaming. Blood soaked the floor and the wall around it and almost entirely hid the maker's name on the front of the heavy door. The carpet was just a sea of mess. The corner of an untidy desk in the foreground took up a chunk of the picture. It was covered in papers, files, and ledgers. He leapt to his feet and dashed to the editor's office, barging straight in. "I've got it," he told his startled boss. "I know who killed Bowers." What has Josh noticed? Hint. Photos. It's in the photos. Daryl Dalton. We're putting Daryl Dalton. Daryl Dalton's the attorney. We're putting Daryl D. I'm going to put Daryl right at the top there. Who's Benny Lucas? Maker's name on the front of the heavy door. I don't think that's going to be relevant. Wait a second. If the maker's name was covered, the safe would have been closed. Because the maker's name's on the front, unless it was only the safe door would not have been fully open. There's a possibility that it could have been unlocked but not fully open. I think the safe might have been closed. So who would have access to the code? I don't think it's going to be Richard, which is our delivery man. I don't think the gardener would have access to the codes. Now, a shotgun from the garden was used, which means whoever shot him would have known that the shotguns were there. And this was at his house because it was on his ground. So the safe was at his house. The person would have known that there were shotguns in the shed. I don't know, Sean, do you know there were shotguns there? I don't think you did. We're going to cross you off as a suspect as well. Okay, now that leaves Daryl D, but it also leaves the wife. Yeah, there we go. All right, it's one of these two. That's what I'm thinking. Folks. Do we think that one of the papers, files, or ledgers was divorce paperwork? The wife did say assassinate. That's different than murder for money. She would have had access to the house, access to the safe. She would have known the code. She would have known the shotgun was there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the wife. It's got to be the wife. The wife would have known all of these things. She would have had a reason to kill him if that paperwork was something like divorce. Daryl said my client was having some temporary difficulties. Mr. Cole is having temporary difficulties, so says the attorney. What would those temporary difficulties be? Something marriage related, something about relationships, divorce. Where's this organized crime thing coming from? I think that's just to distract me. I refuse to be distracted. Let's take a look at what the wife said again. I love him very much, but he could be stubborn. I'm sure that the assassin... Oh, I think that's the giveaway. She said it was an assassin. I don't think it was. Had to torture the safe combination out of him. That's probably why they killed him. That would explain why the safe was still closed if they had the combination. But you don't kill somebody until you check to make sure the combination works. That's just sloppy murdering. The wife and the lawyer? Oh, the wife and the lawyer brought up this Lucas guy. I'm going to say wife, and I'm not going to be surprised if the lawyer is in on it as well. So, solutions to the Bowers murder. In the crime scene photos, the area around the safe is covered with blood, as is the front of the safe, but the inside of the safe is completely clean. All right, we're already well past that. Bowers was killed before the safe was opened. It makes no sense that a robber would have shot him after gaining the combination, but before he'd opened the safe, in case the door was not really unlocked. I called it! I said that would be sloppy burglaring. I was right. But his wife knew the combination already. When the story broke, the police arrested Ruth, and she eventually confessed. Furman was bankrupt, and they were facing destitution. So she drugged him. Why would she okay, fine. Then staged a murder robbery to try to claim on his insurance. Checks out. See, I was thinking divorce, but being broke works as well. That would explain the troubles he was in, according to the lawyer. Got it. Bam. It's the wife. She shot that dude. He is dead. She's in jail. She confessed like a fool. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not always in your best interest to talk to the police. Sometimes it is a good idea, but not if you've killed a dude.